Hi friends, let's take a look at Tezos together. So we do this every day. I really love the community. By the way, I always talk about this. I could go over to Twitter right now. I could find chat from Kevin Mehrabi and other people who've mentioned my videos recently. Shout out to those guys and be, really flattered and pleased. I just want to say this, I'm really flattered and pleased. When some people come along who are like, got thousands upon thousands of followers on Twitter, and somebody says, who's the best Tezos technical analysis, and then a few people come along and say my name, and then he comes back and says interesting format, respect, this guy does a video every day and all this sort of stuff, and I just think, oh wow, that's love. Okay, great, let's move on with it. Do you want to hit that subscribe button? Super duper. If you hit that join button, super duper. This low here, right? Looking at this low here, this low. Come on, just move up one more pixel. My mouse doesn't have the DPI for it. Come on, yes. This low here is an equal low, but it's not come down as low on the Stochastics and the RSI and everything else down below. As part of a downward trend, you've got to consider that to be slightly bullishly divergent. That's nice. But what have we got overall? Mostly sideways for the last few months, if I'm honest, really looking back the way. Nothing really has pushed us on beyond. If we could throw our minds back to various different times in the past, we've talked about things like how you could have cups with handles and stuff like that. They've failed, like we got to here, it's like, this could be a cup with handle. And then it was like, it'd be really stretching it if it was a cup with handle at this point. I really don't think so. And then it went up a bit. It's like, oh, maybe, no, it's not. And then we're like, well, maybe could this be the sort of thing? No, it could. No, it failed. Blah. So really, we've had all this blah happen, and we can consider really the two big inflection points in the market. If I put the drawings back on, yeah, there's too much noise on them. Just the looking up here, this is a big key area where you'd be going on to make all-time highs. This is a big key area where you wouldn't be going on to make all-time highs, but what you'd be doing is kind of going down below the area that we're at before coming up to here, making the all-time high type chat here on this chart. I do realize that there's different all-time highs. If we go back, I realize that there's different ones. But what I'm getting at there is that there's sort of phases in the market, and this phase in the market here that we're at in this rectangle channel area, or whatever you want to call it, really don't mind what you call it. You could even make it into a really big triangle effort if you want to. I don't care what you call it. What you've got here is if we move down below it, then we're going back down to this other phase where the prices haven't actually been since last year, and where we're actually, what this kind of chunk, well, it doesn't show up here on this chart, is what that chunk there is. If we actually zoom out and look at it on the HIT BTC charts instead, what that chunk there was the all-time lows sorts of chunks, right? So we don't want to be going back down into that sort of phase of the market, and overall, we don't want to be. This here looks quite different here in the 24-hour time frame. This is the dollar parent, of course, but you get the point that I'm making there. You get the point that I'm making, right? Great, cool, groovy. So that's what we're looking at. And do we have then, therefore, this bullish divergence coming in just here at this part to say that we're going to move towards the top side? And maybe we do. Maybe we can look up towards these targets, and maybe rather than going sort of like, sometimes like we like to do and going for talking about crazy upward targets and whatever else, maybe we could just kind of say that, look, if you're playing this with low or zero net leverage, I'm not a financial advisor, no, that's financial advice, and you are trading toward, and you traded this towards the top side, you'd have some very easy targets where you could take profit at, and you wouldn't need to worry too much about about kicking yourself saying, oh, I missed this, I missed that, because that would be greed. Because if you look just like looking up here, coming back up to the midpoint here, where the point of control would be if I made that show up on the bloody VPVR there, then you can see that you're looking at like a 30% move to get up towards that area. 30%, 40%. If you're making money like that on your investments, then you are surely very much a happy person. So if that's the case, then that's great, and that's what we can look at, really. Just wanted this episode to be slightly different, a slightly broader perspective episode on moves, which would only take us back up to what we're looking at when, from the broader perspective, the stuff that we've been talking about from the smaller perspective as well, In terms of, did we come in here and put this last low in without divergence? Is it even lower? It is lower, and is it divergent as well? Yeah, it's divergent. Great, cool. So we've done that as well there in the 4 hour time frame. I think you would have expected to see that. Clear areas up here, 32k, 33, all the threes, where the VPVR comes in at. You can see it all dropping off. You can see how all this would all work. Of course, we also know to bear in mind that movements down below these areas, as I just zoom out the way, you can see how that would obviously be quite negative for the pricing against Bitcoin. A lot of this is going to be determined by, of course, the strength of the Bitcoin market versus dollar, as opposed to the Tezos versus Bitcoin pricing, unless the Tezos versus dollar pricing does something rather radical. Let's go over here to the Tezos versus dollar price action, and you can see that this chunk here then is far fuller than the BTC pairing. Look at the drop-offs that you have here, where there's the sort of the volatile aspect to that or whatever, and then over here, well, of course, there's plenty of trading to be done, that there's a lot more sort of disagreement in the price in and around these areas than there is in the Bitcoin pairing one, okay, right? And when I talk about disagreement in price, by the way, I usually tend to talk about it from the point of view of how that sort of a lot of textbooks and things will tell you that prices move in one direction when there's disagreement in price, or a lot of people will tell you that, but actually it's whenever there's agreement in price, in terms of how I think about it in terms of the movements, because just think about it like a tug of war. You've got 10 people on the left, 10 people on the right, they're all pulling the rope kind of more or less equally. There's agreement, 50% of people want it to go left, 50% of people want it to go right. That's the broadest consensus that you can get. The tug of war then kind of collapses and one side wins and the other ones fall over, and then they pull it all the way back, and the prices move from, say, here to here, when suddenly there's a disproportionate amount of people saying the price should go one way to the other, right? So it's the biggest. So then you've got more agreement in terms of the price, because 70% of the people want it to go up, 30% of the people want it to go down. People standing on the sidelines can see the writing on the wall, etc., etc. So you get the point there. So it's when there's disagreement in the price where people are like, no, it should go left, no, it should go right, no, it should go up, no, it should go down, and half the room are saying one direction, half are saying the other, that you get this here, which means that they're going to have these bigger nodes and blah da da da. I think that's kind of just something to just bear in mind, just as you watch your other technical analysis out there, and you have people talking about the sort of the psychologies, the markets go around the way, price is the most likely to go sideways when people are disagreeing on whether or not it should be up or it should be down, to the very biggest amount, where 100% of the people thinking it should go up and 100% of people thinking it should go down constitutes 50% of both groups. So that's why you get people kind of saying that, that price goes sideways when there's agreement on price, because they think, that from a sort of democratic point of view, that but it's not. That's the biggest disagreement. Went on about that for ages, but I think that's something that's worthwhile just kind of knowing for people in the old generals. What's the current price, by the way, of Bitcoin, just as I'm filming this, of interest? Because, I want to know, because I'm filming this video, just how we're coming in, still keeping my eye out for whether or not we go in and we do these gaps. Something to check out if you're looking at the Bitcoin video yourself as well. I kind of talk a lot about that, and I talk about a flag type idea in that video for some more educational purposes. Well, I've even got to talk about here, because I've covered everything in such fine detail, like putting the charts, the drawings back on the chart, and you can see here, even though this is obviously kind of chicken scratchings, and if you're just new to the show, you won't know exactly what I was talking about here. I think that overall, actually, these drawings kind of do make it fairly clear what the current price action is telling us, and has been telling us for the last wee while, in terms of the dollar pairing, while we're looking at this shape over here. Will we see this play out or not? The ascending triangle, like we talked about there, did it break out or did it not? We just made it fit properly, and we're still kind of the ascending triangle. Did I say descending? I don't know what I said. I don't care. So that's what we're looking at still, versus the Bitcoin story where we had this. So if you're new to the channel there, I think the drawings do also explain what we had, with this shoulder, head, shoulder, neckline, drop down, measured move, dollar pairing, meanwhile, Adam, Eve, neckline. Anyway, do I have anything else? I'm just going to leave it at this episode. I do good episodes every day. I really appreciate everybody tuning in and being my friend out there and everything. I really do appreciate that. It's really great. This is about to cross here, it looks like, on the 24-hour time frame. These are coming in for crosses. Could it all be quite good? Well, we'll have to check and see if the prices are able to make it above those 290s areas. There's plenty of trading to be done, as I say, as Rocky Outcrop say. I've seen some other people saying it too as well, which is nice. Moving up towards these areas, you're looking at a 4% move, just even if you wanted to. It depends how you're trading it. Of course, just there where you can take your first profit taking target, which isn't even actually playing the breakout of this thing. If you did want to play the breakout of this thing, let's just do it for the laddie daddies. Then you're looking up, coming up here, and will we be coming up above Eve's head there, or indeed the right hand shoulder, depending on what particular time frame you look at this on. Like go down to the 4-hour time frame, would we be doing that or not? So that's kind of just what we're looking at. It's kind of just what we're looking at. Need to see these things kind of pick up a bit, though. If there are to be some more energy, could just fill this out some more. Could just end up changing its shape a bit again as well. But if we do get a measured move, wouldn't be surprised at all. Wouldn't also be surprised if this happened over the next wee while at all. And that just takes us up to the next level of stuttering. The next level of stuttering is what it takes us up to. It takes us up to the next level of question marks. Just in and around where we've all been talking about for ages, in and around these price these $3.30 prices. If we see the prices go back up there, then we can start kind of making assessments about further 10% moves and 20% moves towards the top side. But we don't need to go crazy. If you're trading this thing and actually trading it, then you don't need to go crazy looking at those profits. Moves up there, 15% move would take you up as high as 333. If you were to go and sort of just take part of in that momentum, sort of rise up, if that were to be it. So try and just trade safe always and stay smart. Yeah, okay, cool. My name's been Rocky Outcrop. It'll be Rocky Outcrop tomorrow. Tomorrow has another coincidence there in that I'll also be back again tomorrow with more. No, wait, tomorrow's Saturday. I'll be taking the weekend off. Probably. I may come back, I may not. I ever since getting to 1,000 subscribers, I treat myself to getting the weekend off from time to time. How amazing. And I want to get some of this good weather. If it goes away by the end of next week, I'll regret not having got any. So yeah. Cool. Okay. Love you, bye.